All right, so this live tracing was a little different than what I've done in the past. I took one that took everything I liked from the background, and I'll show you how I could complete this line a little bit if I wanted to. It's the same things we learned doing the logo. But I lost a lot of the face, so I brought in a separate layer with the face more in the way I liked. So now I'm going to take that, I'm going to move that into place, just very gently. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to convert its color to white. And then I will delete the ones I don't need individually, like I don't want this. That cutout happened because of the way I used the lasso. And then I can say, well, maybe I do want that one. Maybe I don't want this. Don't think I want that. Well, maybe I do. I don't mind that. It shows more light. Anywhere there's white allows me to color it later. I want all of those, but I don't want these little shards. And I can use the lasso again if I need to kind of select all the little debris from out here. And if I want to redraw it, of course I can using my handy dandy pencil tool. Okay, now I need to merge them together. That looks weird, I'm just going to get rid of it. And I do that using the Pathfinder tool, like we did before. Make sure all the last little bits of debris I don't want are taken out. Yes, all right. Okay, so now what I do with the Pathfinder tool is I blend these whites here. Oh, I think I want this one cut out a little bit thinner here so it doesn't cut into these shapes so much. Fine-tuning it. Good. Vectors are this whole other animal. But they allow you to redraw, they allow everything to be perfectly clean, which is why we want them for this. Yes, that will work. All right, so now I'm happy with how the face works, so now I need to bring these two together. I unlock the bottom layer, I select it all, I hold down Shift, and I also select that top layer, and I use Pathfinder, Window Pathfinder, to basically cut a hole and make them all one, and then I fill that with black. Let's see if that works. And it mostly worked except for these little areas where I need to now erase that out. They should be self-contained, hopefully. And if that's too much work, it kind of is. I'll do it this way. So everything is the way I want it right now. I'm going to select everything, move it over so I can see where the whites are that I filled. And so you can see it. And that's where I want to punch holes in this existing one. But first I have to just get a screen grab of it all. So go to before I moved it, where it's all in white. Make it as large on the screen as possible. This is another technique. Actually, no, even better. I want higher resolution than that for this example. So I'm going to save it as an EPS, even though it has the whites in there. Okay, as a transparent EPS. I'm going to bring that into Photoshop. It's actually fine if your line work has white in it. You'll see why. So go back to my original comp right here. I have the composite moon in there, and I'm going to bring that EPS onto my file in Photoshop, raise it up above. So I can see it and then place it. Because remember, by bringing it on from the desktop as an EPS, it's a smart object. You can see how much cleaner it is than just my pencil sketch. But it's kind of nice to have my pencil sketch there because I might be able to use some of those grays in my coloring. And I want to place it on. Try to match it pretty well. Hit return. And now if I turn off the different pencil sketches, you'll see there it is. If I turn off the moon, you'll see the whites are now part of that vector layer. But the difference between a vector line work is it's perfectly clean within this resolution. So let me make sure this resolution is big enough. And it is 9 by 12 by 450. It's a kind of an odd size, so let's use the sizes of our lab. 13 by 19 inches. I'm going to resample it up to 350. Right? Now everything else will soften slightly, all the raster files in here. But my vector line work, it will perfectly scale up and be really smooth. The benefit of a smart vector layer. All right. Very good. Let's look at another way we can create digital inking. And I will use other people's work for this. So let's say I have a sketch I really like. And let's say it's a simpler one, not so much ink this time. So here's a sketch I like. I want to turn that into digital ink. And this is just a quick pen sketch on colored paper. So what would I do? Well, I'd make a duplicate of it. And then I'd play with the levels, just like I did for my ink scan. I'd really push the lights, and you'll see how grainy it gets, because maybe this is a low-res scan. And I can darken that. until it gets to be what looks like kind of a low-grade photocopy of it. I'll say OK. So how can I kind of clean this up digitally in Photoshop? Well, what I'll do is I'll make a copy of it, and then I'll set it to multiply mode. And then I will use my filter, and I'll very slightly Gaussian blur it. So not nearly that much, just a little bit. And by blurring out that scan a little bit, it will really fill it in and darken it. It's like inking it with a marker. Okay? And I go from, and then I can merge all these together, all these different copies, because if you duplicate that little Gaussian blurred line work on top of itself, because each Gaussian blur is slightly transparent, it will turn into kind of a marker, thicker outline. Then I can merge those together. Command-E is the shortcut, but you go to Layer, Merge Layers. And so it went from this to this to this, and now I just need to get rid of all the white. And you see like the yellow that's in there still, and the red. And the simplest way to do that is to just use the magic wand, to have contiguous turned off, to have anti-alias on. That will make it smoother. And then just click on the black. And now I'm just going to duplicate that black line work on its own and turn off every other layer. And now I can vectorize that. So save as a PNG. Remember, I call these tests because these are just in a halfway house now to being a vector. Then I open that test up with Illustrator. And this is from a low-res scan that's a little bit simpler. And now it comes in. It knows it's a raster image, so I image trace it. I'm going to use basically those same settings. Black and white. Going to ignore white. And now I'm going to play with these. And with the simpler cartoons, it's a little bit easier. You don't have so many different components that you have to worry about. But I want fewer corners. I want it a little bit more rounded. Want it a little bit less noisy. And I might push the tolerance down a little bit. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. That's something I can work with as line art. So I expand it. I wanted to make sure I ignored the white. I don't know if I did. Good, okay. Because I click on the white and it's not a vector, but everything else is. And then if there's little things I need to clean up, like this, I simply redraw it with the pencil tool. You can even do it with the mouse. Or up here, if this isn't looking smooth enough, I can redraw that. Because remember, if you don't use the line art, which seems like it would be the best option, but if instead you use black and white logo or silhouette, you get shapes that are filled. So each shape has an inside and an outside edge, just like if you were inking it, which is really great, because then you can stretch it out. If you do line art, it will turn everything into strokes, which does not work out so well, because strokes are not as versatile as paths. In fact, I can just overlap this path. All those skills we learned for doing the black and white logo, you can apply here, make use of. Okay, now I would save this as an EPS to bring into Photoshop. I could even draw new black shapes if I needed to kind of connect things. Yeah. And then I can smooth them out. But I don't want you to get too perfectionist at this point, because spot illustrations do not need to be as clean as logos. They're also going to have a lot of color, a lot of detail, maybe even some special effects by the time we're done. This is the centerpiece for a t-shirt design. Right, and then save as. Notice I'm not even saving these as AI files. I save them right as EPS. And so my test EPS to the desktop is the black